Ooh. Say goodnight, bitch. Oh, hey. I didn't see you there. Let me just put that down over there. You really should knock. Hey folks, how you doing? My name's Dave McRae, and welcome to episode 2 of Halloween Revisited, where I look back on some of my old Halloween topics and some of those old videos from way back in the day and see whether or not my feelings have changed on certain topics. And today we're talking about Halloween 5 again. I know you guys love to watch me bitch and moan about Halloween 5. But specifically, we're talking about the Myers house in this episode. So let's jump into it.
That movie is a shit show. What you think you see, what you think you hear, that's what it's about.
It's all theater of the mind.
No, it's garbage. It's garbage. Mood and atmosphere. Now that I really like. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to see.
What's going on, Halloween fans? My name's Dave McRae. Yes, welcome to episode 2 of this Halloween Revisited series that I'm doing. And have my thoughts changed on the Myers house and Halloween 5? Well, the answer is no, of course not. And I'm going to state my case here today. I understand there's a lot of Halloween 5 fans out there that do not agree with me, or a lot of Halloween 5 fans out there that do agree with me, but they just don't care. You know, it's been 35 years since the movie came out, and over the years, they've been able to justify it in their own minds on why the Myers house looks the way it does in Halloween 5. They are okay with it. They say things like, well, it's just the way it is, you know? Yeah, but it's Dominic Orthenian Gerard. He was this France director. He was avant-garde. Let's do this. It's great. It's its own thing, Dave. It's its own thing. No, you can't do that, ladies and gentlemen. When you are the fourth Michael Myers director in. I say the fourth because obviously Halloween 3 has nothing to do with Michael Myers. So when you are the fifth Halloween director, but the fourth Michael Myers director, so he's the fourth director taking a crack at the Michael Myers story here, and it is connected, it is connected to the 1978 original. There's a through line, and there are rules that have been established in the universe. We create rules, we world build and create rules to be able to follow to keep consistency with continuity. Otherwise, it's just bad storytelling, it's bad writing, it makes no sense, and you run the risk of taking your audience out of the movie. That's why you work within the sandbox that you have been given. That doesn't mean that you can't take some creative risks. That doesn't mean you can't do some things, but there is still a lane that you must remain in. And Dominic Orthenian Gerard should not have been allowed to do this. I understand why he was brought in. I understand that even him and Mustafa Akkad butted heads a few times, but this should never have been allowed to go ahead with this. Look, it doesn't look a little different. It looks absolutely, unequivocally nothing like the Myers house. Okay, it is a gothic, Munster-style Addams Family mansion. It's a beautiful house. I love the house in Halloween 5. Don't get me wrong. It just should never have been used in Halloween 5 as the Myers house. What should have happened was, hey, Dominic, you really like this house? That's amazing. That's awesome. We can't use this house because it's too different. It's way too big. It's a mansion. We can't use this. This is not the Myers house. If you really like this house, I'll tell you what. If Halloween 5 does well, and we really like working with each other, then why don't we think of a story we can do together that we can incorporate this house in? It's not a Halloween movie, but it's some horror movie, whatever, and we can do this, and we can put this house in the movie. That's what should have been stated. That's what should have been done. But you know what? Let's continue to search Salt Lake City and find a house, like they did in Halloween 6, that looks more like the Myers house. Now, the house in Halloween 6 looks nothing like the Myers house either, but in comparison to the house in Halloween 5, it looks way more like the Myers house and is far more believable from a standpoint of, well, maybe there were some renovations, or maybe they did this or something. I don't know. The Myers house in 5, it is sheer incompetence. It's bad writing. It's bad storytelling, no matter which way you look at it. I'm looking at it through the lens of a filmmaker, of a storyteller, and how it just should never have been. This should never have happened at all. And listen, like I said, I know that there are Halloween 5 fans out there that will defend the movie and that house till the day they die. And I understand that. But, and they'll say things like, yeah, but Dave, it's Dominic Orthenian Gerard. He was this kind of a director. They brought him in to give a little bit of flavor, do this and do that. And, I like that. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with bringing somebody in to apply their style or their tone, to sprinkle, them all over the movie, right? There's nothing wrong with Halloween 5 feeling maybe a little more giallo, or feeling a little more film noir, or feeling a little more this, or, with the way it's crafted or the way it's lit, or all that is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but you cannot change continuity. The Halloween 5 Myers house is so different that it is no different than if the mask in Halloween 5 was a John F. Kennedy mask with no acknowledgement of the change. That is how different it is. And you can't do that. You have to follow continuity. You have to work with the tools you've been given and add your own flavor to it. Right? And how you craft the images, how you craft the story, how you craft the lighting, right? That's what you do. You don't change the rules. You don't change continuity. So it should never have been allowed to be done. It should never have been allowed. Now, one last thing I'll say here is somebody made a comment on my last video in this series where I talked about the closet scene in Halloween 5, because I briefly mentioned the Myers house in that video. And shout out to this person. Forgive me, I forget your screen name, but you were defending the Myers house. And I love it when we can disagree with respect and maturity. And you were like, Dave, you know what? I think it's this and I think it's this. So I'm going to paraphrase what you said, but you said basically, well, Dave, the house is the way it is. It doesn't need acknowledgement. There doesn't need to be any acknowledgement of the change, which I disagree. It is what it is. And then you use the example of, you said, it's no different than Maggie Gyllenhaal taking over for Katie Holmes in The Dark Knight. That's what it is. We just accept it, and it is what it is, and away you go. And although I understand the principle of what you were trying to say, I categorically disagree with that as a good example, and I'll explain why. Maggie Gyllenhaal is the same type of woman as Katie Holmes in terms of their body structure. They're both brunettes. They both have girl next door cuter features as opposed to, say, a woman who has bolder features. They are the same type of look. So when you are casting in film and you are looking for a look, Katie Holmes and Maggie Gyllenhaal have the same look. Now, they don't look identical to each other, but you would have no trouble believing that they were maybe cousins, right? And you may be able to believe that they may be sisters. They don't look identical, but I'm just saying they have the same kind of look. In casting in film, they're often, when we are casting, we have looks that we're looking for. And Katie Holmes and Maggie Gyllenhaal would be in the same pile amongst 100 others for that kind of look, right? Girl next door, cuter features, brunette, this height, this body frame, that kind of thing. So it's not the same thing. In order for your example to hold weight and be the same thing, they would have had to have cast, say, Bridget Nielsen in the role in The Dark Knight, right? 6 foot, blonde, short blonde hair, bolder features, right? Then your example would hold weight because that's the type of contrast we're seeing, right? Katie Holmes is the Myers house in Halloween 1 and 2, and Bridget Nielsen, which is a complete 180 of the type of woman that Katie Holmes is, would be the Myers house in Halloween 5, right? But that's not the case here, right? That's not what has happened. Maggie Gyllenhaal is the same type of woman as Katie Holmes. So they did their due diligence and they cast in the same spirit as the actress that played the character before. So that's why, again, I understand the principle of what you're trying to say, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. Bridget Nielsen would have to have been cast, and then nobody would believe it. If Bridget Nielsen was cast in the role in The Dark Knight, we'd all be pissed off. Nobody would accept it. Because we'd go, what are you doing? This looks literally nothing like the same character. This is a complete 180. This is the Myers house in Halloween 5. She's 6 foot tall. She's blonde with short hair. She's got bolder features. This is not the same character. She's taller than fucking Batman. This is not the same person. I don't believe it, right? That's what's happened here. That's what's happened. That is the Myers house in Halloween 5, and it should never have been done. They should have found a home that was in the same spirit, that had the same look as the Myers house. Not identical, right? You're not going to find something that's like literally identical, but you might come close. And of course, they tried to do that with Halloween 6. So anyways, those are my thoughts on the Myers house. It has not changed. It's incompetence. It should never have been allowed to go through. And today, if this happened today in 2024, I do not believe that Halloween fans would accept that. I do not at all. And so much so that I don't even think it would be done. I don't think today it would have even been done today. I think back then in the 80s, whatever, we just want to rush this sequel out and make more money and who cares, and whatever the case is. But today, I think we're a little too hyper vigilant, and I don't think it would have been done, because I can tell you, Elm Street fans would not have accepted it. Could you imagine if in A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Alice is walking up to the Elm Street house and it looks like the Myers house in Halloween 5? There's no way that it would what? Fred heads would not have accepted that. Right? You know what I'm saying? There would have been so much backlash, or maybe not, because Elm Street 5 was also 1989 and there was no social media, no internet, and who knows, right? But today, that shit would not fly today. It should never have been done. You can't change continuity. You can't change the rules. And that's why my thoughts on the Myers house and Halloween 5 will always remain the same. I love the house, just not as the Myers house. Anyways, folks, my name's Dave McRae. Jump into the comment section and let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think I'm a bum? Do you think I'm a piece of crap? Do you think I'm a genius? Whatever the case. Jump into the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. Hey, if you want to follow me on social media, you can. All my links are in the description. Check them out until your heart's content. And when your heart is content, check them out again. That'll do it for me. In the meantime and in between time, I will talk to you soon. Cheers.